Professor Ansaldi. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Calculus 111, Math 111 syllabus. So one thing you'll notice is that when you go into Canvas, we have one section for Canvas, unlike some of your other classes. Dr. McKinney, Dr. Gates, and myself are all coordinating Calculus. What that means is that you can go to any of our office hours and all the activities and assignments for Calculus 1 will be exactly the same. So, for instance, you see here on Canvas a list of our office hours so you can see what days work best for your schedule. For many of us, appointments are also available, and we'll give you more information about that on Canvas as the semester progresses. So, let me tell you a little bit about our syllabus. You can find the syllabus on Canvas down here. So, what we've got here is our syllabus. So this gives us some of each of our sections, where that section meets, and when the final exam is. The final exam is going to be different because there's 4 different sections which are scheduled at 4 different times. So that's just scheduled by the registrar. So all assignments are the same. I won't go through everything on the syllabus because you can read it yourself. Let me just tell you some of the bits about the most important things you need to know before calculus. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask any one of us about those questions. So here's our learning goals. You can look at those. Those are what we expect you to know at the end of the course. One of the most important things is the textbook. Now, many of you have already purchased your textbook, and one of the bookstore lists is this paperback Calculus from a graphical, numerical, and symbolic point of view. Now, for some of you, especially those of you who are planning on going on to Calculus 2, you might consider buying the hardcover. These are both the same. The printer just changed somewhere in 2009. So instead of getting 2 volumes that are paperback, you can get 1. Almost all the copies are used on Amazon for both of these. So depending on what fits in your budget, you might find that this one is actually cheaper than the second one. So now, of course, you want to know, how hard is the class going to be? And what does the workload look like for the semester? So our workload, we have a number of different kinds of assignments. Now, one thing we want to make sure is that you guys know the basic skills of pre-calculus so that you're able to be successful in calculus. So the way the pre-calculus skills exam works is a little unusual. So unlike a normal exam where you have 1 attempt, this exam you'll get 3 attempts. And your best of 3 attempts will determine your grade on the exam. So one thing to notice is there is a little bit of a penalty there. So what we really want to see is we want to see that you get at least a 90% on the PSE. Excuse me. So if you get a 90, we're going to round that up to 100 in the grade book. And this should really be a greater than or equal to, although it didn't display correctly in Word. Now, if your grade on the PSE is between an 80 and an 89.9, that's a 70. So that's when you really want to start using those extra attempts to get yourself up to this 90 and above level. If you get below a 79 but above a 70, that will be a 30 in the grade book. And then finally, if you don't get at least a 70 on the PSE, that will be recorded as a 0. So really your goal for these 3 attempts, and what we think everyone will be able to achieve with some effort, is this 90. And that will help you not only to get that 100 right away in the grade book, but also to be ready for the rest of things like calc that will use these algebra skills. Now the second thing in this is later in the semester we'll have a basic skills exam. This is a lot like the PSE, but we'll check some of the basic differentiation skills and anti-differentiation skills so that you can solve problems that use calculus but may not be just take this derivative. So this one is very, very similar, same grading scale. You'll have 4 attempts. We'll also have 2 midterm exams. These dates will be listed on Canvas at a later date. The final exam, like I mentioned, is cumulative. However, because of the schedule of the midterms, a little more of the material will come from the material after the second midterm. And finally, 2 group projects through the semester. We'll just talk about these. And then finally, the rest of our class is kind of divided into 2 things. One thing we are designing this course around is active group work in class. So every class you'll actively work on assignments. Sometimes we'll collect them, sometimes we won't. But you'll get credit for participating in class, being in class, and even when the assignment isn't collected. We'll also have some group quizzes, or some quizzes. So these will be announced on Canvas, and these are designed to give you feedback between exams so that you know how you're doing. The last component is the homework. So sometimes you'll have some work before class so that you can kind of get right into that group work without us lecturing. So this might involve watching a video or reading from a textbook to prepare for class. And you also have some questions on Infinity. So these will typically be due the day before class. We'll also have some homework on Infinity, and unlike the Sunday homework, which is a little bit different because we want you to be ready for class, the pre-calculus skills exam on Monday, this will typically be due at 4 p.m. 2 classes later. The one on Sunday is a little bit different. And then finally, some questions. We want to give you feedback so that you know what our grading policies are like. So we will give you written homework, and this is going to give you better feedback on the exam. It also allows us to ask some questions that, just you can't enter as a blank. They might need some more explanation. So those will be due on Fridays to your instructor's mailbox or office. All right, so our grading scale, just to summarize what we just said, hopefully this adds up to 100%. So pre-calculus skills exam is 5%, basic skills 10%, midterm grades 20%, final exam 20%, projects 10%, in-class assignments and quizzes 10%, and the remaining 3 categories of homework is 25%. So the grades determined by the total points, and here's the grading scale that we promise we will stick to as a minimum. So here's some campus resources. We encourage you to go talk to Dean Thrush if you do have any apparent or invisible disabilities so that we can best serve you. Another good thing, especially for calculus, is the Quantitative Skills Center. They'll help you with some of your calculus homework. The hours for the QSC are for calculus are listed here. So far, there's 3 tutors, Joel Bailey, Longwin, and Nicholas Young. Long and Nicholas don't have their hours listed yet, but typically for math, we have tutors on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. And those are located in the QSC in the library. Supplemental instruction. Each of your SI tutors the first day of class will explain a little bit more about supplemental instruction. The hours are found on Canvas with the locations as well. Notice that you can go to any one of the sessions. It doesn't have to be with the tutor associated to your class. Finally, for the projects, definitely consider the Writing Center, and then of course the Office of Student Enrichment is a good way to work on things like time management and note-taking in class. So that's all for the basic syllabus instruction. If you do have any questions, notice that all your grades are on Canvas, so check those regularly and let us know. Either come to office hours or shoot us an email. We're here to help. Thank you.